Greetings. I believe we're live. Now to figure out my digital control center here. So many things going on. First off, I don't need to hear myself. Let's take care of that. No idea how many people here. By the way, Stacy, my roommate, you're not obligated to be here just because you asked for this. You can always catch it on its catalog later, so I'm not going to be offended if you drop out or something. I'm like, how dare you request a thing and then not be here? So, welcome. I'm going to put glasses on because I'm old and my eyes don't work. Mic out from in front of my face. So much going. This is an experiment. For anyone watching now or later, it's an experiment. Trying to figure out how it all works. I should be streaming to YouTube and Twitch and Facebook all at the same time. 4. Dramatic two readings. I plan to do 2 readings tonight. Here's the thing, lots of people doing music streams, which is cool. Thought about doing them myself, I'm a musician. But then I'm in the middle of recording an audiobook for my friend Andrew Hunter. And then that got me thinking about that. I thought, hey, maybe I could stream myself recording the audiobook, and you could see behind the scenes and watch how many times I mess up and go, God, son of a bit, and you have to redo things. But I don't know if Andy wants his audiobook streamed for free on the internet. And I thought, well, maybe I could stream something else. But what? That I don't have to pay the rights for. Maybe a friend has a book they want to, that could work. Any friends have books that they want to hear read aloud? Let me know. But then my roommate Stacy said she thought Edgar Allan Poe was public domain, and I love me some Edgar Allan Poe. Ever since 8th grade, I was in advanced English class with Mrs. Riley, my favorite teacher of all time. And in that class, I wrote a typical Poe story where I'm blurry. What's going on with my camera? Anyway, this will be a whole lot of technical gremlins, I'm sure. I wrote a typical Poe story where I kind of put all what I consider Poe's tropes into one story. I wish I could find it. I wanted to read it on stream, but I don't think I have it anymore. It mainly consists of saying the word bosom a lot. Because if you've read any Poe, you'll find he's very fond of the word bosom. Strangely enough, I don't think there's a single occurrence of bosom in Masque of the Red Death. But if you read the rest of his works, a whole lot of bosom. A lot of bosom talk. Is my camera focusing on my mic? What's going on? I'm just trying to figure out why I look blurry. Whatever. Yes. So. This is me staring at things going, what's going on? What's happening? Tonight. I am streaming from my... You didn't know that my bedroom was much like the TARDIS, bigger on the inside. It's a Gothic library on the inside. Figured it was an apropos background for reading Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. We'll start tonight. Now, look, I know a lot of you might be going, hey, why do I want to listen to this story? It's about a rampaging virus type thing that kills lots of people. I don't really need that in my life. Fair enough. But this is Edgar Allan Poe. It's really good. It's a good story. And then that's why I thought, after an earnest, dramatic reading, that I would do my best to do an upbeat, happy reading of Masque of the Red Death. See if that's possible. So, regardless, I shall now begin the earnest, dramatic reading. This is real. There's not going to be comedy in this one. This is going to be me, for real, reading the story. No gimmicks. The Masque of the Red Death. Masque. There we go. The Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the pores with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But the Prince Prospero was happy and dauntless and sagacious. When his dominions were half depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. This wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and Masque hammers and welded the bolts. They resolved to leave means neither of ingress nor egress to the sudden impulses of despair or of frenzy from within. The abbey was amply provisioned. With such precautions, the courtiers might bid defiance to contagion. The external world could take care of itself. In the meantime, it was folly to grieve or to think. The prince had provided all the appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, there were the improvisatori, there were ballet dancers, there were musicians, there was beauty, there was wine. All these and security were within. Without was the Red Death. It was towards the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion, and while the pestilence raged most furiously abroad, that the Prince Prospero entertained his 1,000 friends at a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence. It was a voluptuous scene, that masquerade. But first, let me tell of the rooms in which it was held. These were 7, an imperial suite. In many palaces, however, such suites form a long and straight vista, while the folding doors slide back nearly to the walls on either hand, so that the view of the whole extent is scarcely impeded. Here the case was very different, as might have been expected from the Duke's love of the bizarre. The apartments were so irregularly disposed that the vision embraced but little more than one at a time. There was a sharp turn at every 20 or 30 yards, and at each turn a novel effect. To the right and left, in the middle of each wall, a tall and narrow Gothic window looked out upon a closed corridor which pursued the windings of the suite. These windows were of stained glass, whose color varied in accordance with the prevailing hue of the decorations of the chamber into which it opened. That at the eastern extremity was hung, for example, in blue, and vividly blue were its windows. The second chamber was purple in its ornaments and tapestries, and here the panes were purple. The third was green throughout, and so were the casements. The fourth was furnished and lighted with orange, the fifth with white, the sixth with violet. The seventh apartment was closely shrouded in black velvet tapestries that hung all over the ceiling and down the walls, falling in heavy folds upon a carpet of the same material and hue. But in this chamber only, the color of the windows failed to correspond with the decorations. The panes here were scarlet, a deep blood color. Now, in no one of the 7 apartments was there any lamp or candelabrum amid the profusion of golden ornaments that lay scattered to and fro or depended from the roof. There was no light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle within the suite of chambers. But in the corridors that followed the suite, there stood opposite to each window a heavy tripod bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass and so glaringly illuminated the room. And thus were produced a multitude of gaudy and fantastic appearances. But in the western or black chamber, the effect of the firelight that streamed upon the dark hangings through the blood-tinted panes was ghastly in the extreme, and produced so wild a look upon the countenances of those who entered that there were few of the company bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. It was in this apartment also that there stood against the western wall a gigantic clock of ebony. Its pendulum swung to and fro with a dull, heavy, monotonous clang, and when the minute hand made the circuit of the face, and the hour was to be stricken, there came from the brazen lungs of the clock a sound which was clear and loud and deep and exceedingly musical, but of so peculiar a note and emphasis that at each lapse of an hour the musicians of the orchestra were constrained to pause momentarily in their performance to hearken to the sound. And thus the waltzers perforce ceased their evolutions, and there was a brief disconcert of the whole gay company. And while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the giddiest grew pale, and the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows as if in confused reverie or meditation. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter at once pervaded the assembly. The musicians looked at each other and smiled as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows, each to the other, that the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. And then, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embraced 3,600 seconds of the time that flies, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then with the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. But in spite of these things, it was a gay and magnificent revel. The tastes of the Duke were peculiar. He had a fine eye for colours and effects. He disregarded the decora of mere fashion. His plans were bold and fiery, and his conceptions glowed with barbaric lustre. There are some who would have thought him mad. His followers felt that he was not. It was necessary to hear and see and touch him to be sure that he was not. He had directed in great part the movable embellishments of the 7 chambers upon occasion of this great fete, and it was his own guiding taste which had given character to the masqueraders. Be sure they were grotesque. There were much glare and glitter and piquancy and phantasm, much of what has been since seen in Hernani. There were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. There were delirious fancies such as the madman fashions. There were much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. To and fro in the 7 chambers there stalked, in fact, a multitude of dreams. And these, the dreams, writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms, and causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And anon there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of the velvet. And then for a moment all is still, and all is silent save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff frozen as they stand, but the echoes of the chime die away. They have endured but an instant, and a light, half-subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. And now again the music swells, and the dreams live, and writhe to and fro more merrily than ever, taking hue from the many tinted windows through which stream the rays from the tripods. But to the chamber which lies most westwardly of the 7, there are now none of the maskers who venture, for the night is waning away, and there flows a ruddier light through the blood-coloured panes, and the blackness of the sable drapery appalls. And to him whose foot falls upon the sable carpet, there comes from the near clock of ebony a muffled peal, more solemnly emphatic than any which reaches their ears who indulged in the more remote gaieties of the other apartments. Just checking chat, seeing who's here. Hello, Scooter, roar of the earth. Thank you all. I'm reading, for anyone who's joining, I'm in the middle of reading Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. A completely ridiculous story to be reading in the current times, but that's why we're reading it. And then we'll do a happier read of it later. Back to the story, though. But these other apartments were densely crowded, and in them beat feverishly the heart of life, and the revel went whirringly on until at length there commenced the sounding of midnight upon the clock. And then the music ceased, as I have told, and the evolutions of the waltzers were quieted, and there was an uneasy cessation of all things as before. Oh, thank you for telling me there's an echo. I don't like that at all. I do have the stream open, but I don't have the sound on. Hold. Let me see if I can stop that echo. One moment. Wait. Why is that happening? Hold on. What if I do that? Did that turn the... Am I echoing now, Roar of the Earth? Or did that fix it? Might have been some weird reason because I had... Excellent. Thank you for the update. And now, back to the new and improved story. But now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock, and thus it happened perhaps that more of thought crept with more of time into the meditations of the thoughtful among those who revelled. And thus, too, it happened, perhaps, that before the last echoes of the last chime had utterly sunk into silence, there were many individuals in the crowd who had found leisure to become aware of the presence of a masked figure which had arrested the attention of no single individual before. And the rumour of this new presence having spread itself whisperingly around, there arose at length from the whole company a buzz, or murmur, expressive of disapprobation and surprise, then finally of terror, of horror, and of disgust. In an assembly of phantasms such as I have painted, it may well be supposed that no ordinary appearance could have excited such sensation. In truth, the masquerade license of the night was nearly unlimited. But the figure in question had out-Heroded Herod, and gone beyond the bounds of even the prince's indefinite decorum. There are chords in the hearts of the most reckless which cannot be touched without emotion. Even with the utterly lost, to whom life and death are equally jests, there are matters of which no jest can be made. The whole company, indeed, seemed now deeply to feel that in the costume and bearing of the stranger neither wit nor propriety existed. The figure was tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closest scrutiny must have had difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet all this might have been endured, if not approved by the mad revellers around. But the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbled in blood, and his broad brow, with all features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. When the eyes of the Prince Prospero fell upon this spectral image, which, with a slow and solemn movement, as if more fully to sustain its role, stalked to and fro among the waltzers, he was seen to be convulsed, in the first moment with a strong shudder either of terror or distaste, but in the next his brow reddened with rage. "Who dares," he demanded hoarsely of the courtiers who stood near him, "who dares insult us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him, that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise from the battlements." It was in the eastern or blue chamber in which stood the Prince Prospero as he uttered these words. They rang throughout the 7 rooms loudly and clearly, for the prince was a bold and robust man, and the music had become hushed at the waving of his hand. It was in the blue room where stood the prince, with a group of pale courtiers by his side. At first, as he spoke, there was a slight rushing movement of this group in the direction of the intruder, who at the moment was also near at hand, and now with deliberate and stately step made closer approach to the speaker. But from a certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummer had inspired the whole party, there were found none who put forth hand to seize him, so that, unimpeded, he passed within a yard of the prince's person. And while the vast assembly, as if with one impulse, shrank from the centres of the rooms to the walls, he made his way uninterruptedly, but with the same solemn and measured step which had distinguished him from the first, through the blue chamber to the purple, through the purple to the green to the orange, through this again to the white, and even thence to the violet, ere a decided movement had been made to arrest him. It was then, however, that Prince Prospero, maddening with rage and the shame of his own momentary cowardice, rushed hurriedly through the 6 chambers, while none followed him on account of a deadly terror that had seized upon all. He bore aloft a drawn dagger, and had approached in rapid impetuosity to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure, when the latter, having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. There was a sharp cry, and the dagger dropped gleaming upon the sable carpet, upon which, instantly afterwards, fell prostrate, in death, the Prince Prospero. Then, summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of the revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartment, and seizing the mummer, whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, gasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and corpse-like mask, which they handled with so violent a rudeness, untenanted by any tangible form. And now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls of their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripods expired, and darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. And that was Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. And yes, Michael, there is no music now. I had intro music playing before the stream had started. When I had this screen on, then I had music playing, just to have something going on while I was waiting to start. So there we go, Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Looking now, making sure I didn't miss anything. Hey, Socrates. This is good. My restream seems like it's working. I'm actually seeing chat in the master chat window of all 3 platforms. As I said, this was kind of also an experiment, trying a new way of streaming to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube at the same time. Appears to be working. So, now, thank you for anyone watching. I know you're saying to yourself, I don't want to hear that story. That's depressing in this time of coronavirus and pandemics. Well, I get it. Sure. So that was the way the story was written. But now we're going to do it our own way. We're going to take Masque of the Red Death. By the way, it's completely unplanned. I had this idea this afternoon and just decided to do it because why not? People are trapped at home. Somebody might be desperate for entertainment, and I thought it'd be fun. So I don't have any grandmaster plans here. But now, what I thought we'd do is read the Masque of the Red Death once more. I know, thank you, Soy. You like my library. I had it built this afternoon just for this occasion. It is absolutely 100% authentic and tangible. For anyone wondering, by the way, I see comments from all the platforms, and that is the wonderful Socrates on Twitch. So if those of you on like Facebook are going, who's he talking to? I'm talking to Socrates on Twitch. So now what I thought we'd do is we would read Masque of the Red Death again. But this time, try to make it as happy and uplifting as possible, which can be done simply with tone of voice, inflection, maybe a few extra thrown in details. Tactical Panic, welcome, my friend. If you have any suggestions while I'm reading, I am trying to keep an eye on chat too. I don't know what those would be, specific voice or something to do to, but anyway. So here's what I thought we'd do. we're going to read The Masque of the Red Death again, but this time in a happy, cheerful, uplifting tone. Picture yourself. Here we go. This is what is known as cognitive reframing. It's a very powerful psychological tool, cognitive reframing. In this reading of Masque of the Red Death, we are going to put ourselves into the role of the Red Death. We are not the revelers. We are not the party guests. We are all the Red Death. And the party guests, they're horrible people. They're horrible, horrible people. They're racists and bigots and people who talk during the movies and don't change the toilet paper roll when it's empty and just leave the empty roll there and maybe set the other roll on top of it. Like, why did you do that? Just change the roll. They're horrible people. We want to see get their comeuppance. We are the Red Death. Tactical, that's because the last time I streamed was 1 billion years ago. Oh, yeah, right? Toilet paper. Good point, Soy. I mean, even worse than not changing toilet paper, maybe they stole the toilet paper. They came to your house to use your bathroom, and they took your toilet paper with them. So now, again, cognitive reframing. Put yourselves into the shoes of the Red Death. We are all the Red Death. The people at the party are horrible, horrible people. Basically, diamond thieves. Exactly. Now we shall try to do an uplifting, wonderful reading of the feel-good story known as Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. See, already I got a smile in my voice and on my face. Already it's a happy story now. The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or hideous. Blood was its avatar, and it sealed the redness and horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the pores, with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow man, because his fellow man were jerks if they can't sympathize with you just because you're bleeding from the pores a little. See, again, they're bad people. We're the good people. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But the Prince Prospero, he was happy and dauntless, sagacious even. When his dominions were half depopulated, that means half of them had been dead, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court. Horrible, horrible people they were. They all talked during the movies and didn't replace toilet paper. They left dishes in the sink. I probably shouldn't say it. Lots of people do that. No, I'm not targeting anybody, so that I might have just alienated people. So they were horrible people. And with these horrible, horrible people that we'd like to see get their comeuppance, he retired to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. Again, if you're just joining me, we're doing the happy, uplifting version of Masque of the Red Death. If you want the serious, dramatic version, just scroll back, and we did that before. You can go back and watch the video. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. This wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers and welded the bolts, and they resolved to leave means neither of ingress nor egress to the sudden impulses of despair or of frenzy from within. Abbey was amply provisioned, with such precautions their courtiers might bid defiance to contagion. They were all like, "We're far too good for any virus to get us, the Red Death. No, peasants deserve the Red Death, not us lovely people, us lovely rich people in the Prince's castellated abbey. We don't deserve to die, 'cause we're rich." That's all in there. It's in the Poe unabridged version. The external world could take care of itself. In the meantime, it was folly to grieve or to think. And these people, they didn't like to think anyway. Thinking's for peasants. The prince had provided all the appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, there were improvisatori, there were ballet dancers, there were musicians, and there was beauty, and there was wine. Lots and lots of wine. All these and security were within. Without was the Red Death, otherwise known to these horrible, horrible people as the peasant disease. They called it the peasant flu. They were like, "Oh, you hear? They got the peasant flu outside. Not in here. We've got wine and improvisatori." I'm guessing that's improvisers. It was towards the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion, and while the pestilence raged most furiously abroad, that the Prince Prospero entertained his 1,000 friends at a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence. Jerks. They're jerks. They're all jerks. Remember that. This is important to this happy, uplifting reading, that they're all jerks. It was a voluptuous scene. Now I'm picturing Benny Hill. I would play the Benny Hill theme, but that's probably copyrighted. And right now I don't have my... For some reason I can't turn my desktop audio on without getting an echo. I don't know why that is. Hold on, let me see if I can figure it out. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can figure it out real quick. See if I can figure out making the echo stop. Oh, I think I know. 1, 2, 3. I think I know. No, damn it. I don't know. 1, 2, 3. Chat box. Oh, I think I know. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Damn it, I think it's... Oh, hold on. Damn it, I think it's... Oh, okay. I do think it's because I'm watching my own stream. You're right. Hold on, I'm going to turn... I'm going to mute... I'm going to mute all the streams so that we don't have the audio. You were so right when you said that. Whoever said that earlier... Nope, mute. Which was A Roar of the Earth. You were right. I did have my streams up. Hold on. Checking now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, there we go. Now I have my desktop audio and my mic, and I can do really stupid stuff like this.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Yeah. I can play sounds if I want to. I can do what I want. It's my stream. Actually, Michael, it was just because I had all 3 of my streams up and their sound on, and that was coming through my desktop audio, which I wanted on so I could play sounds. Anyway, back to the uplifting, happy version of Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Okay. It was a voluptuous scene, that masquerade. But first, let me tell you of the rooms in which it was held. These were 7, an imperial suite. In many palaces, however, such suites form a long, straight vista, while the folding doors slide back nearly to the walls on either hand, so that the view of the whole extent is scarcely impeded. Here the case was very different, as might have been expected from the Duke's love of the bizarre. The apartments were so irregularly disposed that the vision embraced but little more than one at a time. There was a sharp turn at every 20 or 30 yards, and at each turn a novel effect. To the right and to the left, in the middle of each wall, a tall and narrow Gothic window looked out upon a closed corridor, which pursued the windings of the suite. These windows were of stained glass, and whose colour varied in accordance with the prevailing hue of the decorations of the chamber into which it opened. A decorator. I wonder if anybody's ever recreated. Surely somebody has recreated this description in a real house somewhere. I'm going to have to Google that somewhere. Somewhere exists, I'll bet, a replica of this Prince's Imperial Suite. That at the eastern extremity was hung, for example, in blue, and vividly blue were its windows. The second chamber was purple in its ornaments and tapestries, and here the panes were purple. The third was green throughout, and so were the casements. The fourth was furnished and lighted with orange, the fifth with white, the sixth with violet. The seventh apartment was closely shrouded in black velvet tapestries that hung all over the ceiling and down the walls, falling in heavy folds upon a carpet of the same material and hue. Okay, take a drink. I feel like it's pretty happy and uplifting so far, though I do feel like probably getting boring with just my same old happy voice. I don't know why. Again, unplanned. Apparently, this is my happy English voice. Before I was reading like this in a very grave English, but now I'm like, oh, now I'm happy. I'm a happy peasant, because now we're taking the peasant's view. Should I change voices? Should I do something else? Should I be, Christopher Walken or something? What should we do? But in this chamber, haven't really been keeping up with my impressions. Of course, the peasants love being covered in shit all the time, wondering where they're gonna get the next meal, serving the rich folk. Oh, it's a good life. It's a good, now I really wish I'd loaded up. I have a bunch of sound effects on my computer, but not ready to trigger. Ooh, Shatner. I haven't done it. We'll try a little bit. I won't torture you too much with that. Let's see. Shatner. Okay. Let's see. The panes here were scarlet, a deep blood color. Now, in no one of the 7 apartments was there any lamp or candelabrum. Amid the profusion of, this is a horrible Shatner, of golden ornaments that lay scattered to and fro, or depended from the roof. Now, we all know that I do a shit Shatner. Never tried before now. It's a horrible Shatner. I'll have to work on that. But hey, feel free to throw stuff out. I'll try it. I don't guarantee quality. I used to be, here's a weird thing. I feel like I used to be able to do good impressions. As a matter of fact, just recently, I had a friend of mine say that one of his memory. I posted the Facebook thing, like, hey, post a memory you have of me. And a friend posted, oh, that you did a dead-on Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, and we did a read of this little skit. And I used to do a dead-on Arnold, but I don't feel like it's there anymore, and I don't know why. I don't know where my Arnold went. It's weird. I feel that way with a lot of my impressions. I feel like I used to be really good. Now, not so much. Don't know why. Maybe because I just don't do them as much. Anyway, there was no turbo time. Is that something I should know? Is that a reference to something? Because if it is, I'm stupid and I don't know it. It's turbo time? Is that a person? Is that a... Oh, Jingle All the Way. Okay. From Jingle All the Way. I don't know if I've seen that. Now that you mention it. I can't remember. My favorite Muppet. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's probably the one. Okay, we'll do a few. Let's see. Okay. That's a good one, Michael. I like that. Because Edgar Allan Poe and Muppets. I'll bet has that been done? Surely the Muppets did they do any Edgar Allan Poe in the Muppet Show? I don't know. Let's find out what it would have been like. So now taking over reading is Kermit the Frog. There was no light of any kind emanating from lamp or candle or within the suite of chambers. But the corridors that followed the suite, there stood, opposite to each window, a heavy tripod. Yay! My falsetto's gone. Allergies. Fly! What's going on there? It's just gone. Bearing a brazier of fire that projected its rays through the tinted glass, and so glaringly illumined the room. And thus were produced a multitude of gaudy and fantastic appearances. But in the western or black chamber, the effect of the firelight that streamed upon the dark hangings through the blood-tinted panes was ghastly in the extreme, and produced so wild a look upon the countenances of who entered, wow, allergies are really messing with me, that there were few of the company bold enough to set foot within its precincts at all. My favorite was probably Fozzie Bear, but I don't think I could do Fozzie.
Hey, Kermit! Waka waka! It was in this apartment also that there stood against the western wall a gigantic clock of ebony.
That's not too good.
Its pendulum swung to and fro with a dull, heavy, monotonous clang. And when the minute hand made circuit of the face, and the hour was to be stricken, beat drums.
He was one of my favorites. I used to have a puppet of him. And you could work his eyebrows. Oh, God, Danny, hey, thanks. But no, I was just remarking how all my impressions have gone to shit for some reason. Not helped at all by the fact that, as we've discussed on your stream, my allergies are messed. By the way, Danny Smith, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best musicians in Austin, phenomenal keyboard player, phenomenal singer, does streams himself, music streams. Go look him up. He does all request music streams. Like, all request. And like 99% of the time, he knows it. You can be like, Danny, play the theme from SWAT, and he'll probably do it. Danny Smith. Check him out. He's awesome. Where were we? The uplifting, yes, the happy, uplifting Masque of the Red Death version. In case you're just joining me, we've done the dramatic reading of Masque of the Red Death. Now we're doing the happy, uplifting one because that's what we need in this time of, we don't need to be bummed out by like viruses killing everybody. We need to be happy about it. So we are taking the role of the Red Death and instead pretending like all the people in the room at the party are jerks. They're all entitled, sexist bigots who talk at the movie and steal your toilet paper. So we want to see them get their comeuppance by the Red Death. And so we're trying to keep a happy, uplifting tone to Edgar Allan Poe's dark, macabre classic.
But of so peculiar a note and emphasis that at each lapse of an hour, the musicians of the orchestra were constrained to pause momentarily in their performance to hearken the sound, and thus the waltzers perforce ceased their evolutions, and there was a brief disconcert of the whole gay company. And while the chimes of the clock yet rang, it was observed that the giddiest grew pale, and the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows as if confused reverie in meditation.
Just like anybody else. Oh, somebody, Jingle All the Way. Well, here, we'll try this. Oh, you know what? Arnold will make an appearance later. I know when Arnold needs to come into it. There's a point in the story where I think Arnold would be perfect. But when the echoes had fully ceased, a light laughter once pervaded the assembly. The musicians looked at each other and smiled as if at their own nervousness and folly, and made whispering vows, each to the other, the next chiming of the clock should produce in them no similar emotion. No. In other words, they're like, you know how when the clock strikes, every time it strikes, like we all feel really weird and we get scared? Well, next time the clock strikes, that's not happening. I'm not going to get scared and weirded out next time. But they would. It happened every time. And then after the lapse of, see, here we go. And then after 100 seconds of the time that flies, there came, and then were the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. I kind of feel like reading it in this happy, uplifting tone almost makes it feel like a Douglas Adams novel. Lustra. It's still pronounced luster, but it's more fun to say lustra. There are some who would have thought him mad. His followers felt that he was not. It was necessary to hear and see and touch him to be sure that he was not. He had directed in great part. Can I do it? Oh, that's good. That's good. Transatlantic. I like that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on. Get it. I think this is it. That's good. I like that though. Yeah. It's like, hey buddy, that's transatlantic, right? Isn't it the hey buddy? What I call the hey buddy accent? Hey buddy. What are you doing? It's kind of like Terrence and Phillip from a little bit from. Every time I do transatlantic, it's very similar to Terrence and Phillip from South. Because hey buddy, here we are being all transatlantic like we're in the 50s movie, buddy. And it's very similar to, hey friend, I'm not your friend, pal. Hey pal, I'm not your pal, friend, or whatever. It's oh, Danny, me too, dude. Oh, love. Let me show you something. I'll show you something, Danny Smith. Fucking talented mother. I'm sorry, I got it really aggressive there. There's no reason for that. This is hold on, let me pull. This is my lock screen. That's my lock screen on my phone right there. It's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Because that's basically what our phones are now. They're basically Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxies. Love Douglas Adams. Canadian. Oh, okay, so we got a few in here now. Let's see. Let me do it. Try some transatlantic, which, as mentioned, ends up sounding kind of Canadian when I do it. He had directed in great part the movable embellishments of the Seven Chambers. Upon occasion of this great fete, and it was his own guiding taste which had given character to the masqueraders. Be sure they were grotesque. There were much glaring glitter and piquancy and phantasm, much of what has been since seen in Hernani. Okay, see. So let's see, see, this is gonna, I really has, you mean, Danny, do you mean the book or the series or both? Because I loved both. I loved that series that they had out with Elijah Wood. And I love the book, obviously, as well. Lynn, I'm going to try. I don't know. Is Socrates still around? I hope not. Tactical Panic, are you Canadian? I don't remember. Someone requested Canadian, which I don't. I'm sorry. I'm just going to apologize because it's probably going to be horrible. Oh, are there? I don't really know. I think Canadian, something like that, right? Something about that. It's not. A lot of people say a boot. It's not a boot. From what I understand, Canadian is more like a boat. Anyway, there were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. And you're Scott. Yeah, I knew Soy was Canadian. I just couldn't remember. I thought there were more Canadians. There were delirious fancies such as the madman fashions. There were much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. To and fro in the seven chambers there stalked, in fact, a multitude of dreams. And these, the dreams, they writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms and causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And anon, there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of the velvet. Okay, what else? We got anything else there? Oh, tacticals, I'm sure you're used to, because like Scottish is one of the things that everybody loves doing, and I'm sure it's 9 times out of 10 horrible, but it's so fun, as you well know from Lowbro streams and when his own, as well as when I've been there with him. Oh, okay. I say, Lynn. I say, hold on. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Hold on. Let's in the Hall of Velvet. Okay. All right. And then for a moment, all is still, and all is silent save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff frozen as I stand, but the echoes of time. This is not Scottish, by the way. She requested Irish. Some getting into it. I haven't quite found it yet. It's a little bit there. The dreams are stiff frozen as I stand, but the echoes of But the echoes of the chime die away. They have endured but an instant, and a light, half-subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. And now again the music swells and the dreams live, and writhe to and fro more merrily than ever, taking hue from the many tinted windows. I'm getting a little Scottish. Taking hue from the many tinted windows through which stream the rays from the tripods. I've done it before. It's been a while. That one. I'm sorry for this. Tactical. If you hate bad Scottish accents, just mute me for a minute and I'll wave a lot when I'm done or something. But it's so fun. I hope you take it as a compliment. It's not. It's because I'm sure you know everyone does Scottish. It's not like we're making fun. Like, it's because it's so fun. It's so fun and addictive once you start doing it. But I gotta do that to get into it. But to the chamber which lies most westwardly of the seven, there are now none of the maskers who venture. For the night is waning away, and there flows a ruddier light through the blood-coloured panes, and the blackness of the sable drapery appalls. And to him whose foot falls upon the sable carpet, there comes from the near clock of ebony a muffled peal, more solemnly emphatic than any which reaches their ears, who indulged in the more remote gaieties of the other apartments. So fun! So much fun. You guys have the best accent. We'll get back to, I don't know if I did enough. We did a little bit of, before we went to Canadian, the transatlantic, but that's fun too. Hey, buddy. But these other apartments were densely crowded, and in them beat feverishly the heart of life. And the revel went willingly on until at length there commenced the sounding of midnight upon the clock. And then the music ceased, as I have told, and the evolutions of the waltzers were quieted, and there was an uneasy cessation of all things as before. But now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock, and thus it happened, perhaps, that more of thought crept, with more of time, into the meditations, and of the thoughtful among those who revelled. Yeah, a little bit. Oh, David Tennant, he's one of those guys who, like, I feel like people I've seen say, like, they would just listen to David Tennant read the phone book or anything. Because he's got such a great, he doesn't have the really strong, when people do Scottish, they tend to take it really too far, like Willie on The Simpsons, oh hi, and all that, but David Tennant's got, real, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Taking a drink is what we're doing. Oh, exactly, Tactical. Same with English. I had to do an English accent recently for a table read of a feature film script. And so I looked up the character in the script was from West Kensington. So I actually realized that's a part of London. So I kind of looked up, well, what's that area accent? Which even in London, there's several different ones. But I ended up kind of just going with the typical, what they call the RP accent, the BBC. And the thing, was Dirk audio. Oh, the audiobooks. Did I listen to audiobooks? I think I did. I think I listened to all the audiobooks. Yeah, I did like. I actually really liked the TV series. Believe it or not, I can't obviously vouch for your enjoyment, but if you were afraid they'd be bad and say you didn't give them a go, I don't know, man. I'd almost say give them a go. I enjoyed it. Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Elijah Wood. I enjoyed the guy who played Dirk Gently. I enjoyed it too. And my find in the Dirk Gently TV show was Fiona Dourif as Bart. She is Brad Dourif's daughter, and she was nuts in the best possible way. I never heard of her before, and I was like, Fiona Dourif, I went and followed her on Twitter because I'm like, I love this girl, and I want to see everything she does because she's amazing. Anyway, I was saying, as Tactical said, there's many different Scottish accents, I'm sure. Dialects, regional. I do a lot of accents. It's always something I've wanted to do better. I have, we'll get back to the story, I swear in a minute. But if you're into accents, a couple of things. One, I have the Paul Meyer dialect course, which is really helpful. It's got a bunch of different dialects where he breaks them down and will tell you like the signature sounds of each one to help you get it, and then he'll read monologues in it and really helps you nail them. But more than that, if you want to dig into some accents, let me double check is this what I want? Is that what I'm looking for? I think this is it. No. Dialect. Okay. I'm gonna post a link for anybody who's into doing accents and wants to be able to do them and wants to get better at them. This is a place where they record. It's an archive of native speakers from around the world, just talking about themselves or reciting monologues or whatever. So you can literally listen to a native speaker, and that's priceless. But yeah, I would love to. I do like lots of different accents, but I'm not good enough to tell you where they're from. Like, I could do 5 different English accents for you right now, but I couldn't tell you this one's London, this one's Sheffield, this one is, Midlands or whatever. I'm not that good yet. I would like to be. I envy people who can do that. Sometimes when I need to study, I watch YouTube videos. Recently, I recorded a voiceover thing where I needed to be a pirate, and a pirate accent is basically an English West Country accent, they call it. So I found some YouTube videos of actual West Country accents and giving tutorials and West Country speakers to help nail down my pirate cat accent. It was an audio series on the web. I was the lead character named Darby's the cat, who is a foul-mouthed pirate cat coming to the internet near you. So yeah, dialects, awesome. And yeah, like Tactical, that's a great point. Like, I don't know that I know. I don't really think I know any variances on Scottish. I know the one I do, but like I couldn't be like, and here's another one or whatever. I'll have to look into it. I'll have to look into regional Scottish accents. And thus too it happened, perhaps, that before the last echoes of the last chime had utterly sunk. Oh yeah, back to the happy, uplifting Masque of the Red Death, where we can't wait to see these assholes at this party get their comeuppance because they're horrible people. And we are the Red Death. We're the good guys now, the Red Death. There were many individuals in the crowd who had found leisure to become aware of the presence of a masked figure which had arrested the attention of no single individual before. And the and the rumor of this new presence having spread itself from whisperingly around that arose at length from the whole company, a buzz or murmur expressive of disapprobation and surprise, and then finally of terror, of horror, and of disgust. And an assembly of phantasms such as I have painted, it may well be supposed that no ordinary appearance could have excited such sensation. In truth, the masquerade license of the night was nearly unlimited. But the figure in question, I'm just switching randomly now, just to try to keep it interesting. But the figure in question let's do the pirate one because but the figure in question is pirate. Oi, that's right. They say their eyes like eyes. My lover. That's kind of West Country. My lover. But the figure in question had out-Heroded Herod and gone beyond the bounds of even the prince's indefinite decorum. There are chords in the hearts of the most reckless which cannot be touched without emotion. I've already forgotten it. Even with the utterly lost, to whom life and death are equally jests. Oh, there we go. That's now we're doing Eddie Izzard doing James Mason. Even with the utterly lost, to whom life and death are equally jests, there are matters of which no jest can be made. The whole company, indeed, seemed now deeply to feel that in the costume and bearing of this stranger neither wit nor propriety existed. The figure was tall and gaunt. Oh, this from now that reminds. Oh, no, let me finish the sentence. The figure was tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. Yeah, right. Haggard sounded a little bit West Country, a little bit Hagrid. I mean, now how about sir? I'm just pulling random shit out of my ass now. I was thinking, you shall not pass, Ian McKellen. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closest scrutiny must have had difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet all this might have been endured if not approved by the mad revellers around, but the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbled in blood. His broad brow, with all the features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. Oh, I've never done, Welsh. I have not. I don't really do Welsh. I should add it to my repertoire. But when I did that table read where I had to be English, one of the other actors was Welsh, and she complimented me on my English accent and talked to me in Welsh, but not enough. Yes, that's one. I have to be at least pretty familiar. I'm not real familiar with Welsh. Got some homework now, thanks to Lynn. Homework. Do some Welsh. Because I don't even have any idea. Let me tell you, hard ones to do. Welsh, South African. South African's a toughie, man. It's a weird one. Australian and New Zealand. A lot of people can get those mixed up. Those are tough to they're fun too. But I love that when I watch Flight of the Conchords. Been practice. If I try to do New Zealand, I end up doing Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords. Jermaine? Brit, Jermaine? It's been a long time. And that's the thing with me with a lot of accents. A lot of times, like, if I know I gotta do something, then I'll bone up on it and I'll practice it and I'll do my homework. And then later on, like now, if I try to pull something out of my pocket, I go, oh, wow, that sucks. That's not good. Because I haven't been doing it. Homework. When the eyes of Prince Prospero fell upon this spectral image, which, with a slow and solemn movement, as if more fully to sustain its role, stalked to and fro among the waltzers. Oh, wait, this is the happy uplifting one. Sorry, that's not very happy. Claire, what's up, Claire? Welcome, Claire. You've missed so much. Towards the end of our second reading of Masque of the Red Death, in which I'm trying to make it a happy, uplifting story, a tale of the Red Death overcoming a room full of assholes, of rich, entitled jerks who we have deemed are sexist and bigots and talk during the movies and steal your toilet paper. And so we're waiting for them to get their comeuppance. And we are, collectively, the Red Death, who is our figurehead as peasants. We want to see people get it. See, I'm trying to make it happy so it's not like, hey, man, there's an actual like virus rampaging the country. I don't really want to hear a story about a virus rampaging and killing lots of people. I'm like, no, this is not it. We are the Red Death, and we're going after these jerks at the party. These entitled jerks who are so rich that they can just hole up in their castellated abbey with their wine and their musicians and their servants. They're going to get theirs. Okay, let's see. So the prince, he saw this new dude at the party. This new guy. Everyone's like, who's this guy? We never saw this guy before. Now there's a dude here. And everyone's taking note of this weird new guy now. That's where we're at in the story. And the prince, here we go. The prince, he was seen to be convulsed. And also, Claire, if you have, I've been reading it in various accents or voices, mostly really badly, just to keep it interesting. So if you have any requests, just shoot them my way. He was, the prince was seen to be convulsed in the first moment with a strong shudder. I forgot. Happy, uplifting. He was seen to be convulsed in the first moment with a strong shudder, either of terror or distaste. But in the next, his brow reddened with rage. Who dares? He demanded hoarsely of the courtiers who stood near him. Who dares insult us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him, that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise from the battlements. That was the prince in this version. It was in the eastern or blue chamber in which stood the Prince Prospero as he uttered these words. They rang throughout the 7 rooms loudly and clearly, for the prince, he was a bold and robust man, and the music had become hushed at the waving of his hand. It means he was loud. He was a loud dude. It was in the blue room where stood the prince. Oh, I just said that. No, I didn't. It was in the blue room where stood the prince with a group of pale courtiers by his side. At first, as he spoke, there was a slight rushing movement of this group in the direction of the intruder, who at the moment was also near at hand, but now, with deliberate and stately step, made closer approach to the speaker. The speaker being the prince. So the big weirdo, he's walking toward the prince now. So now I've started giving commentary. It's almost like Cliff Notes. Or Masque of the Red Death for dummies or whatever. Okay, he walks with the prince. But from a certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummer had inspired the whole party. Oh, Russian movement. Hold on, let me go back. I can't find the reference, but I get it. It's probably a rushing movement, I guess. The Russian movement. All right, we do Russian now, just because you said that. Нет. But from certain nameless awe with which the mad assumptions of the mummer had inspired the whole party, there were found none who had put forth hand to seize him, so that unimpeded he passed within a yard of the prince's person. And while the vast assembly, as if with one impulse, shrank from the centers of the rooms to the walls, he made his way uninterruptedly, but with the same solemn measured step which had distinguished him from the first, through the blue chamber to the purple, through the purple to the green to the orange, through this again to the white. Scottish Russian, like, hey, what's up, Colin? Scottish Russian to the white. Yeah, right? That was good. And Hunter, that's right, I'm a Russian. Can't you tell I'm speaking Russian? It's like, I don't think you are, Sean Connery. That's right. Give me the vodka. I'm Russian. I'm here piloting my Russian submarine with my Russian crew. Anyway, through this again to the white, and even thanks to the violet, ere a decided movement had been made to arrest him. Which means nobody was touching him, dude. He was just walking through the rooms, and everybody's like, nope. Big old nope. Nope. Not me, buddy. Nope.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Damn right. Okay, there we go. It was then, however, that no, happy uplifting. We'll go back to something else. Happy uplifting. It was then, however. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why that's my happy uplifting voice. It just is. Whoa. Oh yeah. Maybe we should do Keanu. He'll read a paragraph. Whoa. It was then, however, that this is going to remind me. Oh, flashbacks to Keanu in Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love that film. It was a film that introduced me to Gary Oldman. I love Gary Oldman. He is my inner beast, my template that I aspire to as an actor. But Keanu Reeves in that film, not good. He still sounds like Bill or Ted. He was Ted. Ted Theodore Logan. He still sounds like that in Bram Stoker's. He's like, I was in Dracula's castle. Whoa. He still sounds like that. It was then, however, that the Prince Prospero, maddening with rage and the shame of his own momentary cowardice, rushed hurriedly through the 6 chambers, while none followed him on account of the deadly terror that had seized upon all. Whoa. I know Kung Fu. He bore aloft a drawn dagger, and had approached in rapid impetuosity to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure. Whoa. When the latter, having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. Whoa. Go take a drink. I know Kung Fu. Now what? I'm running out of ideas. My inner beast is, yeah, I think my inner beast might actually be a sloth as well, but like it to be. Oh, Rocket from Guard. Man. I've never tried that one. Hold on. Hey, doesn't he talks something like this, doesn't he? Isn't this kind of like Rocket? This is sort of in the neighborhood of Rocket, isn't it? Hey, Danny's son. It's good to meet you. I hear you got moves like Jagger. This is what I hear on the street, Danny's son. Danny's son. It's good to have you here. Oh, hold on. I think someone confirmed for me. It's been a while since I've seen the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Isn't this something like Rocket? Isn't he something like this? Am I close? Danny's son can tell me if I'm even in the vicinity of Rocket, the raccoon. I'll try a little bit here. Hold on. Yeah, okay, here we go. Having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, he turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. There was a sharp cry, and a dagger dropped gleaming upon the sable carpet, upon which instantly afterwards fell prostrate in death the Prince Prospero. Then summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of the revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartment and, seizing the mummer whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, gasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and corpse-like mask which they handled with so violent a rudeness, untenanted by any tangible form. A little bit, yeah, okay. So Edwin, the Mad Hatter, got it. Hold on. All right, Colin Higgins, you got it, buddy. And now let's acknowledge the presence of the Red Death. He'd come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls of their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock. Wait a minute, I missed. Wait, what? Did I miss? We're almost to the end. I thought. Oh, that's right, the Red Death. He never says anything. Damn it! I had an idea for the Red Death that I was gonna do, but he never speaks. He never speaks. Oh, hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back. Just go back. I got an idea here. Let's go back a little bit. We're almost done. Almost done. Almost done here. Okay, here we go. We're going back to where the prince, he's still alive, and he's approaching. He's approaching this weird stranger in the weird Red Death mask, and he's got his dagger out because the prince is pissed. He's like, "Who are you, and why are you here totally harshing my party?" That's the prince's thing here. So he bore aloft a drawn dagger and had approached in rapid impetuosity to within 3 or 4 feet of the retreating figure, when the latter, having attained the extremity of the velvet apartment, turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. And this is where I add my commentary. This is not Edgar Allan Poe. This is my own DVD extra. It's not a DVD. It's my own PDF extra for this story. And when the latter, having attained extremity, he turned suddenly and confronted his pursuer. And now we got the Red Death. We don't know it's the Red Death yet. The guy, who's this weirdo? He turns. The prince is there with his dagger. And the guy turns to him, to the prince. He goes, kill me now. I'm here. Do it. I'm here. Kill me now. I'm here. Do it now. Kill me. I'm here. Damn you. Kill me. I'm here. Do it now. Give the people a hair, Cohagen. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to do that. I just love that speech from Predator when he just like for 5 minutes, he's like, do it, kill me now, do it, I'm here, kill me now. And just keep doing that until you get to the chopper. Hey, I got another one for. Hey, hold on. And then he said, "Hey, Prince Prospero, remember when I promised to kill you last? I lied." Come on, that was good. That was a good one, wasn't it? Come on. You got to give me that one. Okay, anyway. I've got the Red Death. Gone wacky over here. With the final paragraph. The final paragraph. Do-do-do-do. Now that's going to be stuck in your head all night. Sorry for that. Final paragraph. Let me see. I don't think we... Arnold is great. That's right. He's really great, Arnold. I have a skit called Arnold's General Store. I've never filmed it. I've written it where Arnold Schwarzenegger runs a general... Okay, we'll get that in a minute. Let me finish the story, and then we can talk about Arnold's General Store. Okay, how should I read this final paragraph? Any requests? Or should I just read? We got one paragraph left. We're almost done with it's the happy uplifting Masque of the Red Death. We're happy that Prince Prospero, the jerk, has died. Happy. And now, Stallone. Have I done Stallone? Yo. I don't know if I've ever done Stallone before, really. Yeah, it's kind of close. Hey, and now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. Not too bad. He come like a thief in the night,
one by one, dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls of the revel, and died, each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last gay. And I'm not talking about a homosexual. They're talking about gay people, the happy revelers, the rich people that we don't like, who we want to see die because they're a bunch of rich assholes. And the flames of the tripods expired, and the darkness and the decay and Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. I've never done Stallone before right now. Thank you for that. That was fun. I did some walking earlier. I like walking. I don't have The Rock. Man, I don't know how you do The Rock. To me, the best impressions are always the ones where I go, I didn't even think you could do that guy. If you would have asked me to do that guy, I would have been like, how do you do that guy? And then some people do that guy, and you're like, holy crap, that's how you do that guy. I remember the first time I saw Taron Killam on Saturday Night Live, and he did his Brad Pitt. And I was like, I didn't even know you could do a Brad Pitt. And Taron Killam did like a dead-on Brad Pitt. And it blew me away. Same with, who was it? Was it Adam Sandler? Who was it that did Mark Wahlberg? That was another one. I was like, I didn't even know you could do a Mark Wahlberg. And somebody on Saturday, I was like, hey, say hello to your mother for me. Or whatever. I can't really do Mark, but those are my favorites. When somebody does an impression and I go like, I didn't even know you could do that guy. I didn't even know he was distinct enough to do an impression of. Okay. Happy J. Paul, my friend. Welcome. Welcome. Long time no see.
And there was much rejoicing.
There was. Because we finished the story as well. Oh, yeah, Mark Hamill, man, he's great. He's a phenomenal voice actor. Now I finished the story. I got a little special extra for you. Maybe not a couple of special extras. So, as I mentioned, I've always loved Edgar Allan Poe. So much so that in 8th grade, I was in advanced English class, and I loved my teacher, Mrs. Riley, at A&M Consolidated Junior High. I don't know if she's still teaching. You still out there, Mrs. Riley? Favorite teacher. And I wrote what I called the atypical Poe story, where I took all the elements that I felt were in a lot of Poe stories, and I wrote a story about it. Things like he tends to always have somebody kind of going crazy and being like, oh, I hear things. Oh, is there a heartbeat in the wall? What's happening? But the big thing that I latched onto as an 8th grader is the fact that he seemed to say the word bosom a lot. Now, there were no bosoms in Masque of the Red Death, so it's not a good example. But Edgar Allan Poe, if you look over his whole catalog, he says bosom a lot. I'm sure it was a period thing, time period. They probably, they said bosom a lot. Dude, who doesn't love Poe, right? So, anyway, I was mentioning that, and so I had, when I was thinking about that, I had wondered if bosom was really as prevalent in his work as I thought it was in the 8th grade. So my friend, Kevin Gates, some of you might know him, he's a director around town, he's a Shakespeare expert. He had joked that you can thank late 19th century editorial practice for that. In manuscript, Poe actually used the term sweet-ass titties, which I just thought was funny. So, little disclaimer here. Little disclaimer coming up. Little disclaimer here. If you're offended by profanity, well, it's not too. If you're offended by, I can't believe I'm about to say this. If you are offended by the term sweet ass titties, you might want to tune out for about 5 minutes. Now, let me explain. Before you tune out, let me explain. Now, I absolutely mean no disrespect to anybody. I certainly mean no disrespect to women. And as you will see in what I'm about to do, it is not directed at any particular sex. It is a unisex term in the usage I'm about to use. Because here's what happened. So, Kevin, my friend Kevin, joked, oh yeah, he didn't use bosom. He actually said sweet-ass titties, and they changed his manuscript. And I was like, oh, that's funny. So then I thought it would be really funny to find every occurrence of bosom in Edgar Allan Poe's work and change that to sweet-ass titties. It was an experiment. And I was like, I got to kind of know how that pans out, man. Hold on, I'm doing a thing. Hold on, I'm doing a thing. Come on, do that and do that. There we go. So, again, no disrespect. I took it upon myself, thanks to Kevin Gates, inspiring me to find every instance of the word bosom in Edgar Allan Poe's complete catalog. This won't be long. It's not like an hour long. Don't worry, people. Get through it quick. And I've replaced bosom with the term sweet-ass titties. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Danny, if your son's still watching. Maybe I should have given you a little heads up. For about the next 5 minutes, gonna be a whole lot of sweet-ass titties. So without further ado, can't believe I'm about to do this. God, if any of you stick with me, I will love you so much for this. So now, every instance of bosom in the catalog of Edgar Allan Poe replaced with the term sweet-ass titties. On the sweet-ass titties of palpitating air. Of the palpitating. I already messed it up. It's all right. That wasn't one of the good ones. Next. It vibrated within 3 inches of my sweet-ass titties. That she loved me, I should not have doubted, and I might have been easily aware that, in some sweet-ass titties such as hers, love would have reigned no ordinary passion. It is impossible to describe or to imagine the deep, the blissful sense of relief which the absence of the detested creature occasioned in my sweet-ass titties. About midway in the short vista which my dreamy vision took in, one small circular island, profusely verdured, reposed upon the sweet-ass titties of the stream. See, it's not even human-centric. Streams can have them as well. The arms, the sweet-ass titties, and even the ends of the radiant hair melted imperceptibly into the vague yet deep shadow which formed the background of the whole. She was attired in deep mourning, and excited in my sweet-ass titties a feeling of mingled respect, interest, and admiration. The disease, which had thus entombed the lady in the maturity of youth, had left, as usual in all maladies of a strictly cataleptical character, the mockery of a faint blush upon the sweet-ass titties and the face, and that suspiciously lingering smile upon the lip which is so terrible in death. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own sweet-ass titties, deepening, with its dreadful echo, the terrors that distracted me. Satisfied with having produced in my sweet-ass titties the intended effect, he seemed to chuckle in secret over the sting he had inflicted, and was characteristically disregardful of the public applause which the success of his witty endeavors might have so easily elicited. This condition was nearly unaltered for a quarter of an hour. At the expiration of this period, however, a natural, although a very deep sigh, escaped the sweet-ass titties of the dying man, and this stertorous breathing ceased. That is to say, its stertorousness was no longer apparent. The intervals were undiminished. How wild a history, I said to myself, is written within those sweet-ass titties. In the present instance, Eugenie, who for a few moments post had seemed to be searching for something in her sweet-ass titties, at length let fall upon the grass miniature, which I immediately picked up and presented to her. It's not long, I swear, we're almost done. No murmur arose from its bed, and so gently it wandered along, that the pearly pebbles, upon which we love to gaze, far down within its sweet-ass titties, stirred not at all, but lay in a motionless content, each in its own old station, shining on gloriously forever. Five more, that's it. 5. The golden and silver fish haunted the river, out of the sweet-ass titties of which issued... fucked it up. Out of the... Backward. That never happened. Jedi mind trick. The golden and silver fish haunted the river, out of the sweet-ass titties of which issued, little by little, a murmur that swelled at length into a lulling melody more divine than that of the harp of Aeolus, sweeter than all save the voice of Eleonora. 4 more. She had seen that the finger of death was upon her sweet-ass titties, that like the ephemeron she had been made perfect in loveliness, only to die, but the terrors of the grave to her lay solely in a consideration which she revealed to me one evening at twilight by the banks of the river of silence. 3 more. Wait. Shit, no, I lied, sorry. 4 more. He boasted to me with a low chuckling laugh that most men, in respect to himself, wore windows in their sweet-ass titties, and was wont to follow up such assertions by direct and very startling proofs of his intimate knowledge of my own. Dupin said the last words in a very low tone, and very quietly. Just as quietly, too, he walked toward the door, locked it, and put the key in his pocket. He then drew a pistol from his sweet-ass titties and placed it without the least flurry upon the table. 2 more. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own sweet-ass titties, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. Finally. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my sweet-ass titty's core. And seen. You have now seen, that's every instance of bosom in the Edgar Allan Poe catalog. All the works of Edgar Allan Poe, every instance of bosom right there, replaced by sweet-ass titties. Oh, and to answer your question, Laurie Coker, if you're still around after that ridiculousness, I can't remember if Miss Riley gave me an A. I think I got some A's for some creativity. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna do one last thing here, and then I will let you all go back to your wonderful lives devoid of this utter ridiculousness. The Arnold thing reminded me of something. So let me find something here. Let me find a little something here. There we go. With some hot Arnold action. Yeah, okay, hold on. Pulling it up. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Seriously, like it's fun to just hang out with all you and be utterly ridiculous. You guys, I'm really glad anybody's here at all. And it kind of is amazing to me. You guys, okay. As I was saying earlier, when we were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, I wrote a while back, me and my friend Larry Swallow, we wrote a script called Arnold's General Store, which is just utterly random. It's about what if Arnold, for some reason, decided to open a general store. But, as you will see, he doesn't... I'm going to spoil anything. It's not spoiling. Just pretend like that's all you know. You see a title screen, Arnold's General Store. And, oh! I totally forgot. Did I record that? Hold on, I got to see if I recorded this. I don't think I did. I don't think I ever recorded the jingle. There's a jingle for Arnold's General Store that I don't think I actually ever recorded, but let me check. Because if I did, wouldn't that just be the bee's knees, as they say? Mm-hmm. I should have done that. Should have read a little bit of it as Thurston Howell. Love it. Don't know where that just suddenly came from. Nowhere. No, I did not ever record it. Darn. Okay, I'll just have to sing it for you then. So, exterior day, parking lot. A Humvee pulls up, practically running down the camera. Out steps Arnold Schwarzenegger in sunglasses and a leather jacket, and with a giant cigar. Cue the title and the jingle, which goes like this. Bigger is better and more is more at Arnold Schwarzenegger's General Store. Come with me if you want to save. Something like that. Oh, Gilligan. Sorry, I'm jumping back to comments there. That was the Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, okay. Interior day. Interior? I just said interior. That doesn't make any sense. Interior day General Store. Arnold Schwarzenegger is behind a counter as customer number one enters the store. Oh, there's another little tidbit. If I ever make this into a short film, every customer that enters the store is going to the little door chime of the door. See who gets this. This is like Easter egg. Every customer that comes in, the door chime goes. Doo, 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 doo. Doo, 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 doo. If you get that, bonus points for you. Customer comes in. Welcome to Arnold's General Store, serving your general needs since last Thursday. How is it that I can be helping you? Customer. Yeah, hey, I was wondering if you had a little, like an angel figurine. You know, just like a typical little angel with like wings and a halo. You are being far too specific. I'm sorry? This is a general store. You're being far too specific. If you go to aisle 27B over there, you will find knickknacks on the right and tchotchkes on the left. Thanks. I'll go take a look. Customer one wanders off. Yeah, you already got the joke now. Customer two, hey, see you, Michael. Thanks for coming by, man. Customer two enters. Welcome to Arnold's General Store. How is it that I can be on the receiving... No, fuck that up. Welcome to Arnold's General Store. How is it that you can be on the receiving end of my help? Customer two. Hey, yeah, I teach down at the community college, and apparently customer two, for no good reason, is Hank Hill. That was an accident. Hey, Bobby, damn it, Bobby. I teach down at the community college, and we're about to administer a standardized test, so I need some number 2 pencils to pass out to the students. Didn't you read the sign? Customer looks around, looks at the sign. What sign? The one that says General Store. Number 2 pencils are very specific. He pulls a bucket from behind the counter. We have a bucket of writing utensils. You give me 25 cents and I grab the writing utensil at random from the bucket. Well, are there any number 2 pencils in the bucket? You never know. And that is part of the mystery, allure, and danger of the utensil bucket. You could get a number 2 pencil, or a Sharpie, or a felt tip pen, or a quill, or a highlighter, or perhaps a crayon in any of the colors of the rainbow. My Arnold is not on tonight. That's okay, we're going to go on. Right, I think I'll just go to the office supply store. Thanks. Customer 2 exits. I understand. You're not the first to quiver in fear at the uncertainty of the utensil bucket. Customer 3 approaches. How is it that I can be resembling a helping type person to you? Wow, you guys have everything here. Apparently customer number 3, totally by accident, is Otto from The Simpsons. As I'm reading this, I didn't have any plans. Just like voices come out, and I go, that sounds like that dude. Accident. Wow, man, you guys have everything here. Generally. Oh, hey, you got any primo taglio honey baked ham? We have meat. Honey baked ham is too specific. Primo taglio honey baked ham is so too specific that it almost loops all the way back around and becomes general again, but unfortunately it cannot achieve escape velocity and therefore remains on this side at the extreme maximum of being too specific. Can I at least get it sliced deli thin, or like is that too specific? Get to the chopper! He'll chop your meat any way you like. New customer. How is it that I can make sure you are receiving the amount of help you need over there by me being an assisting persona to you over here? You got any gum? You are being too specific. Wait, you mean like juicy fruit? Yeah, whatever, man, just some gum. You're not looking for Hubba Bubba or perhaps Bazooka Joe? No, man, just gum. You don't care if it's Big Red, Bubblicious, Trident, or Cinnaburst? As long as I can chew it, I'm cool. You do not have a hankering for some Dabblemint, perhaps some Wrigley Spearmint or Carefree Sugarless, maybe some Yike Stripes, a pouch of Big League Chew, Extra, Orbit, Dentyne, Nicorette, maybe a nice pack of Chiclets. Chewing gum. Fine. It's over there. Aisle 127, Section J. Bin 5. Wow, man, that's really specific. And then dejected. This would be like on SNL where the camera would start pulling up and the audience would start applauding, and he'd pull up the utensil bucket and cover his eyes, just pulls out a random utensil and goes, Sharpie. Damn it, the pencil. And then that's the end. It's the end of whatever that was. It's fun for me. I hope it was mildly entertaining for the rest of you. And I think that probably concludes the stream for tonight. I don't really know where to go after that. It's been a fun, random-ass ride. We had a dramatic, earnest reading of Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. We had a uplifting, possibly comedic reading. There's lots of asides, lots of tangents, journeys we took together, and then you heard every instance of bosom replaced by sweet ass titties, and I feel like we've all been through something tonight. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for coming by. Good to see you too, everybody. Colin, Michael's gone. Anybody who's there or watches this in the future or came by earlier and is not there anymore. It was super fun, and I'll try to think of some more stuff to do for streams because it's fun when we're all locked down. What we will never forget, Colin J. Higgins. Oh, you'll never forget this. Oh, them sweet, right. I thought that was like, there was a thought like, I'll never forget that time when you were done. And I realize now that was the end of the statement, that you'll never forget this, the experience we've had together. Right then, I'm off to probably go finish Picard. I've only got 2 episodes left, so I'm going to knock those out tonight. I hate to leave, though, because it was fun. It was fun. Thank you all, and I'm going to push the end of the stream. Now, wait, hold on here. Sorry. I was about to push the end of the stream, but then I saw... Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I saw everything. I'm going to make sure I didn't ignore anybody. Abby J. Paul. I saw some stuff from you that I hadn't seen. Somehow I missed it. But, right. Make it show number 1. As soon as I find the button, I'm going to stop streaming and we're going to see what happens. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Bye.